Hello everyone and welcome back to another Canadian Politics Explained video. And in today's video we're going to be going over why the Greater Toronto Area is so important in Canadian politics and why any party that intends to form a government needs to win a lot of seats in this area, or basically a majority. You can win a government without the GTA, but in practice this is very unlikely. And just because of the number of seats that the Greater Toronto Area has, the parties will need to win seats there. So these ridings are always highly sought after. So, first of all, I'm going to look at the poll tracker, because this was updated today at 11:02. There was only one new poll added, as not many polls have been coming out recently. But this has shown that the Liberals, the poll itself showed that the Liberals had a 3% lead over the Conservative Party, with the NDP, Bloc Québécois, and Green Party polling at similar numbers to what they have before. But this shows, this, I guess, decreased the Liberal level of support from what it was before, down by 0.3%, but this was one poll, so we have to take it with less significance than we would if it was multiple polls. The Conservative Party is up by 0.1%, NDP up by 0.1%, and the Bloc is up by 0.1% as well, but once again, this is only due to one poll. This has reduced the Liberal seat projections a little bit, down from 173 to 172, as you can see here, or 174, excuse me, because they were at that yesterday, but they were at 173 on May 4th when it was updated before. So, this shows that despite a few losses, the Liberal Party has been able to keep up a fairly constant level of support, and they likely will not, I've said this before, but they've been shown that they can waver about 2% up or down and not change their seat projections too much, but obviously if they go beyond that, their seat projections can change in a lot of ways, as this would mean that they would begin to lose a lot of the ridings that they are winning by 5 or 10% to an opposition party, such as the Conservatives or NDP. But the reason they are able to keep these seats is mainly because of the Greater Toronto Area. So, if I go to Ontario, you can see that the Liberal Party has kind of hit their floor in Ontario, as they haven't gone really below 78 seats since November. They have gone up a little bit in previous months, like in February, they hit a high of 81 seats, and they did that again in mid-April, but now they've been sitting constantly on 78 seats for a long time now. Now, this shows that they kind of have, I guess, enough support in Ontario to sustain winning 78 seats, despite a few losses in the polling averages. As you can see here, they have been going down a little bit since the end of April, but it hasn't been enough to put them below their 78 seats that they are currently projected to hold. Now, if I go over here to this map, as you can see, this is the 2019 election results, kind of in an easy-to-use format. As you can see, there's every riding filled in with the party who won it. This Toronto metro area is the one we're focusing on today. So as you can see, in the Toronto metro area, the Conservative Party were only able to win 4 seats. 4 seats. They won. I don't know the names of these ridings, I'm going to be honest. But yeah, 4 seats. The Liberal Party were able to win all of the other seats in the Toronto metro area, and the NDP were not able to win any. So just the sheer number of seats there are in the Toronto metro area, there are upwards of 40 seats here, which shows that winning here is very important, as the Liberals won about 41 seats here. I counted 41 seats, by the way. This is obviously, the GTA definition can kind of be toyed with a little bit, but if I count these seats, I end up with about 45, plus or minus 1. But yeah, so the Liberals won at least 41 seats here, and the Conservatives only won 4. Now, this greatly hindered their chances of winning a government, because as you can see, they really did well in other areas of the country. I did not mean to do that. Let me fill that in with Conservative again. So, they did very well in the prairies and Alberta. As you can see, they lost 1 seat in Alberta, 0 in Saskatchewan, and they split the seats in Manitoba, which is better than they had done in previous years, especially 2015. And they were able to win 17 seats in BC, which was a majority. So they did very well in Western Canada, better than they did in 2015, and similar to what they did, and even better in some places than they did in 2011. But their losses in the Greater Toronto Area definitely was a killing factor, and the reason why they were not able to kind of come back as much as they wanted to and go back to some kind of 2011 level of support. So if I go over here, and this is the 2011 map. This is an old CBC page, but it serves their purpose well. As you can see, this is a slightly different map, as they did redraw the electoral boundaries between the 2011 and 2015 elections. But as you can see, the Conservative Party won significantly more seats in the Greater Toronto Area. As you can see, the Liberals were only able to win 7 ridings, and the NDP, instead of winning 0 seats, were able to pick up 9 seats in the GTA, or 8 seats, So, this shows that when the Conservative Party is able to do well in the GTA, they are able to do well on the federal level as well, because they are able to win so many seats from the GTA that they're able to kind of go over that threshold, because they have that support in Western Canada, but they just kind of need that extra factor to push them over the edge, and the GTA is one of the best options to do this just because of the amount of seats there. Now, if I flip this over to 2015, as you can see, there's significantly more red in this area. And this allowed the Liberals to win a majority of seats in Ontario, 80 to be exact, I believe. But as you can see, there's a huge difference. And the GTA was the reason, or was the main reason why the Liberals were able to flip the government from Conservative to Liberal, just because they were able to pick up so much support here. Now, if I go back to 2011 here, I'll just go back to Alberta and the prairies. So as you can see, the Conservative Party were able to do about the same as they did in 2019 in Alberta and the prairies. As you can see, they were able to pick up most seats in Edmonton and Calgary, only losing the 1 seat that they still do not have in Alberta. And in Saskatchewan, they lost 1 to the Liberal Party. And in Manitoba, they did even better than they did in 2019. So this is kind of equal. They did win slightly more seats in the prairies, and they were also able to increase their share in BC, mostly at the expense of the Liberals, because they collapsed in this election, falling down to 3rd place. But this still would not have been enough more to push them over the edge of a majority government. They may have won a minority government, but they would not have won a majority without the Greater Toronto Area down here, and just Ontario as a whole. But Toronto makes up a significant portion of Ontario's seats, so it is, because of that, the most important piece of Ontario in elections, at least for the Conservative Party especially, because it's kind of the thing they need in order to push them over the edge, even if they have so much support in Western Canada like they do right now. So now I'm just going to go over to this map simulator, scrolling on the Toronto metro area, and then I'm just going to fill in Liberal seats in the Conservative blue to see how many seats they would need to gain in this area in order to win a government and flip it from Liberal to Conservative. So I'll just count them up. I'll just select ridings at random. No, this is not based on margins or anything. I'm just going to fill them in and count them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and then 19 is what they need in order to flip the government from Liberal to Conservative. Now, obviously, they were able to achieve this level of support in the GTA in 2011. Obviously, there were less seats overall, but they still were able to win 19 more seats than they did in 2019 in Ontario. So if I just open up this page here, the Canada Guide, this has past Canadian election results. As you can see, in 2011, they were able to win 73 seats in Ontario, but in 2019, they were only able to win 36. So they actually won about 40, just less than 40 more seats in Ontario in 2019 than they did in 2011, despite there being less seats in total in 2011. Now, this just shows that the Conservative Party is very capable of winning these seats in the GTA, and this is the reason why the 2019 election was in reach for the Conservatives, because they had a chance of winning so many ridings in the Toronto area, and as I said, if they only won 19 more in the GTA, which has been shown to be very possible for them by the 2011 election, they would have been able to form a government. And despite Justin Trudeau's strength in areas of the country, like Quebec, even though they did lose seats to the Bloc there, and Atlantic Canada, where the Conservative Party did not make significant inroads, they still would not have been able to win the majority government that they had. Now, if I just go back to 2015, this just shows why the Liberal Party were able to hold on to their government, because in 2015, the Liberals won 80 seats in Ontario, and if I go over here to 2015 here, I've gone over this before, but they were able to win a lot of seats in the GTA, as you can see here. And in 2019, if I refresh this page, just to reset this, as you can see, they did lose a few seats to the Conservative Party, but they were still able to hold on to enough of their seats in the Toronto metro area that they were able to maintain their strength in Ontario. And if I go back to this website, you can see that they were able to win 79 seats in Ontario in 2019. Now, as I said, they were able to hold on to so much of their strength in the GTA that they were able to hold on to their majority in Ontario, and thus a government, even if it did get reduced to a minority government due to losses elsewhere in the country. Now, this all goes to show that the Conservative Party needs to focus on winning more seats in Ontario as a whole and Toronto especially, because if they're able to hold on to most of their seats in Western Canada, including BC, which seems to be becoming a harder task, they will be able to form a government, and this shows that despite their seemingly large disadvantage in the polls, all they need to do, obviously this is not a small task, but if they focus on Ontario entirely, while also able to play defense in other areas of the country, they will be able to form a government, and if they did that in 2019, they definitely would have been able to form a government then. So that's all I have for you in today's video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later.